We've got Mohammed in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, hello.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you so much for making this show. Watching you guys has meant a lot to me after coming out. But yeah, my question is about my father is deeply religious, and I come from a very religious Muslim background, and I know Matt, you also come from a religious Christian background.
Yeah.
But I catch my dad watching these videos with Muslim scholars, speaking about atheists, or kuffar is what we call them. And in the Quran, they're mentioned in very dehumanizing ways. And I don't like, he recently told me the story about Noah, and how his son drowned in the flood or something, and then he said to God, like, he was grieving his son, and God said, he's not your son because he's a kafir, an atheist.
Right.
So I felt like he was kind of telling me, like, I'm telling you the story because if you disagree with me, that kind of, it means you're my enemy.
Yeah.
And so I worry about what he sees in these talks, and how literally when he's listening to these people, he's in like some fantasy world where it's me against him, which is not the case, because he can just sit and talk to me. But he doesn't like, when we are arguing, I feel like he's arguing with the arguments that are presented by the Muslim scholars that say that this is our argument, when it is not. He could ask me what I think, but he's so I'm just really worried about my relationship with my father, and I was wondering
you have
if
come
you
out
went
to
through
him,
anything similar.
and you've told him.
I have told him many times that I love him, and I will love him no matter what he believes, and I'm not trying to change his beliefs or anything like that, because I know it is. I do think that it's a bad thing to hold these beliefs, even if you're not actively harming anyone, because you're contributing to it in some way. But he's always been so progressive, and he's always, like, condemned these things that these say about, like, women's rights and stuff like that. So when I came out to him, I thought it would be kind of a thing, like, cool, it's not that big of a deal. But as soon as I came out, he became this entirely different person, and he just started, gouging out these things about, like, oh, you're one of them now.
Yeah, we've seen stuff like this before, and
like,
we've seen stuff like this before, and I've dealt with similar things. I had family members who thought that they'd failed me as a spiritual leader, and of course when you are fearful of the unknown, we've seen people become more religious, more interested in the doctrine, because, like, for example, when I told one of my close relatives that I was an atheist, rather than having a conversation with me, they hung up the phone and they went to Wikipedia to look up atheist. And then they went and did a whole bunch of other research, and then they went and talked to Christian apologists who sold them a bunch of books I'd already read, books I'd actually written rebuttals and responses to, and all of this to avoid having a conversation with me. And part of the reason is that quite often they understand at a minimum that they're not equipped to have the conversation with you in the same depth and detail that you might be. That they've been going through their life with these ideas, and in the case of your father, where he's been rejecting some Islamic doctrine, I think that would be the point of conversation. Like, how did you, when you went through this, and the Quran says this, and all of the imams you would listen to would tell you that this is the position you should hold, and you rejected that. How is that different from me rejecting the rest of it? And if you're going to do this, I mean, within Christianity, there's this idea of, like, cherry picking from the Bible to pick out the verses that you like and avoid the verses that you don't like. The Quran's a little more complicated because it's not in chronological order, and the reading is confusing. But I mean, you're in a better position to do this than anybody. I'd recommend, even though you're in UAE, I'd recommend contacting the ex-Muslims of North America. They're a great group. I did an interview with one of them on my Atheist Debates project. But they're working with people not just in America but elsewhere as well, and it's a good community to get involved in, so that you might be able to talk to people who have dealt with similar situations. Because while my situation was similar, it was with another religion, and there wasn't a doctrine that could have immediately put me in the position of being an enemy, and not being their son. There were, though, verses that they used to say, hey, they shouldn't argue with me or talk to me about this, and that, I'm working for Satan leading people to hell, and that they're supposed to stand in opposition to me and all of this other stuff. But there was also this...
No, the thing is, the thing is he's usually not like that. Like, if we're talking about anything else, he's just like a regular person.
Mm-hmm.
He's not extremist in his views.
I can answer that.
At least according to me, and I really... What? Go ahead.
I think that, and this happens in a lot of conversations about religion, is he's in an emotional space. He is afraid of what you mean to him, both as far as maybe losing a son, religiously and maybe in some sort of afterlife, but also, he might be afraid for you at some level, just because, in many Arab countries, being an atheist is very dangerous. And
yeah, it's illegal. It's capital punishment here.
Okay, there you go. So maybe you could talk a little bit about fear, and make it a something that he can intellectualize a little bit better. I think the fear will subside over time. You can't be completely locked in fear for forever, and it does sound like there's a hope here that if you keep the communication channels open, that he will come around and he will be more comfortable and come around to a more sensible viewpoint. But I would guess that he's just very afraid right now.
And I have kind of a side question. So if the penalty for being a fear is capital punishment, when I think about the things in the United States that could potentially be punished by capital punishment, you murder somebody. If I had a kid who I knew had murdered somebody, who had committed some crime that was deserving of capital punishment, not only would I be terrified for what might happen to them, but I think I would also have concerns about, am I in a position of being an accessory for hiding this or obstructing justice? Is that something, could he be in trouble for hiding the fact that you're a non-believer?
I don't think that he could be in trouble. The thing is, it's kind of like just, the law exists, but there's also like a 3-day period where you can change your mind. So I'm not, it's not like I would, die saying that, oh no, I don't believe in your God. I would. So it's not like a legitimate fear, but I don't think that he can get in any kind of.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure in that 3-day period,
We've had discussions where I told. Yeah, what?
I'm just saying that for me, I'm pretty sure in that 3-day period, I'd be professing my belief profoundly. I'd be lying about it, but I would be doing it.
Anyway, we wish you well, and if you're having some challenges with your father and that's your worst problem, you're doing pretty good, I would say.
Yeah, as long as the lines of communication are open, there's still hope. Because some people will shut down those lines of communication.
And then it's a much harder struggle.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I appreciate the call.
Thank you so much thank you so much. And again, it means a lot to me. The show has really helped me through some dark times. And I also want to give my love to Tracy and Jen.
Yeah.
They're awesome. Yep.
Yeah, they are.
More awesome than
you
me.
all are. Thank you so much.
All right.
but definitely send an email to ex-Muslims in North America, because they may have contact information, and certainly people who are more knowledgeable about your situation than we are, who might be able to offer you or even point out that what we said was stupid and we shouldn't have said it. So anyway, thanks.
Thanks, Mohammed.
All right, so
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
We'll